Good evening, Michelle. How are you?
Good evening, Dan. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. So before we continue, an editor's note: you this this today's podcast this podcast was originally supposed to be episode 50, but I, being a very inadequate editor, decided to move it up to episode 45. Why? Because we can.
Okay.
It's nobody's business but ours. So we are recording this on May 7th, and
That's right.
there's 2 episodes left to the season, and this is episode 45, and then there's one more, episode 46, and then we are going to take 3 months off so that a certain male person we know and love will help us finish the website, and we'll work on season 3 and just enjoy the summer.
Okay.
But so this was supposed to be episode 50, but it's 45. So if you hear me say episode 50 on the actual interview, I was lying. But more importantly than all that crap, I wanted to dedicate this episode 45 to your legs. Not your. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be serious, but they say laughter is the best medicine. I'm gonna try that again. Not your legs. I've never seen your legs, and I cannot have an opinion on them. I want
They're short and pasty. We don't want to dedicate a whole episode to those.
Okay, mine are long and pasty because I'm tall, but so we have pasty in common. I want to dedicate. I'm so sorry. I'm going to leave this in because it's funny. I want to dedicate this episode to your cat legs.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
And there's Delilah.
Oh, you hear her? Yeah, she snuck in. She actually got a little sniffle this week, this one, so I'm going to have to bring her in as well. Hopefully she's been sneezing a lot, so.
Positive thoughts. A few of mine get seasonal allergies.
Well, this is the first time she's done the sneezing kind of thing, so I don't know what that's about. So,
well, I
we'll
know it's a very sensitive time, so we're gonna be pulling for Delilah. But in between recording these 2 episodes and today, Legs unfortunately crossed the Rainbow Bridge.
That's right. He did on Wednesday. It was his time. Unfortunately.
So I wanted to just do a quick tribute. I wanted to dedicate this episode to him. I'm sure he was an amazing cat. I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you're okay with that, to kind of say something about him. In the next season, I'd love for him to get his own feline spotlight, but in the meantime, I just want to shut up and give you an opportunity to say something, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so he was a good kitty. He was a a large white and ginger cat. Very sweet, short hair. I had him for about a little bit over 8 years. And he was around 10 or so when he came to me. Not really sure. It was a situation where an older woman had passed away, and she had a bunch of cats, a bunch of dogs, possibly some other animals. I have no idea. But this woman's granddaughter wound up being responsible for all of these animals, and she just couldn't take care of them all, so she had them all rehomed.
Okay.
And she wasn't sure exactly how old the cats were, but I wound up getting Legs, and I got his brother Quinn. And they were just so sweet. They were very sweet, but unfortunately, Quinn came to me sick.
Oh.
He had serious mites and polyps, and he just really, literally within the first 6 months we had him, we had to put him down because he was just, it was
too much.
Really, it was too much. It was very tragic. He was the sweetest cat I've ever seen in my life. But it just, he just had to be. it wasn't good for him,
Right.
So, but that was within 6 months. So, but then we had Legs, and at the time I had another cat named Monday. So, and I don't remember if I don't think my mom still had her cat. My mom lived with me and she had a cat when she moved in. But I think he had passed prior to us getting Legs and Quinn. And, so we had Legs, Quinn, and Monday. And then Quinn wound up getting sick. We had to put him down. Oh, well, Quinn was sick. We had to put him down. My cat Monday, it's an awful year. My cat Monday had a horrible respiratory infection, which she had gotten on and off her whole life. And she was like 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
She wound up passing from the respiratory infection the same week that we had to put Quinn down. It was horrible.
Oh my God in heaven. That is terrible.
Yeah. So after that, I had Legs. That's it. He was the only cat in the house for about a year or two. Yeah, because I don't think my mom still had her cat. I think he had passed. So Legs was the only cat in the house for about a year or two until I got Delilah. And so this was his domain. So he was quite a bit jealous of her when she first moved in. They took a while to acclimate. I have a sectional sofa, and they would sit one on each corner of the sofa, so complete opposite ends of the sofa, just hissing at each other. It looked like they were like, they were like a lover's spat. They're like, I'm sitting over here, you sit over there.
I can totally picture that, and that makes me smile.
Yeah, it was quite funny, and then just like air swats at each other from 20 feet away, But eventually, they got comfortable with each other. He more so with her, because Delilah's a very chill cat. She doesn't really give a crap about anything. She just kind of went along for the ride, and but eventually he was good with her, and then they would snuggle, they would sleep side by side, they would kind of groom each other a little bit here and there, and then they were able to eat side by side, so they became friends and good housemates and whatever.
That's awesome.
And the two of them were stark opposites, because she's a black and white, a true tuxedo, and he's a white and a red and white ginger, and she was the brains of the family. She is the brains of the family still, and Legs was not. What they say about ginger cats is 100% true. They are not the brightest bulbs in the box.
I can vouch for that.
I would throw treats, and I could, for Delilah, I would throw them across the house, across the floor, like from sitting in the living room, throw them into the kitchen. She would run after them, find them no matter where they landed. She would oftentimes jump up in the air, catch them with her paws, and throw them into her mouth.
Nice.
She was like a professional goalie. She could have been on any soccer team, any hockey team, whatever. Just catch it, done.
Olympic cat treat eating. Well done.
Olympic level cat treat eating. By contrast,
Legs.
Legs would be 2-3 feet away from me. I would directly throw the treat to him, so it would land in front of him, and he wouldn't be able to find it. I would throw it to him, and maybe he'd hit it with his paw, and it would land in front of him, and then he couldn't find it.
Maybe he was nearsighted or whatever. Maybe he needed glasses.
No, I don't think so.
You had to explain it every time?
I had to basically what I would have to do is throw a chaser treat right next to that one, so that he would see the second treat and then realize, oh, look, there's another one that's over here, and then eat the other one while he was eating the second treat that was tossed.
That's adorable.
Yeah, he's definitely a sweetheart. He is funny because he loved a really good, like, tight hug. Like he'd love to be like held. He'd hardly ever sit on my lap or any of that stuff. And he'd let me pick him up, but he wasn't really down for all that too much. But what he would do is he'd come up and sit next to me, snuggle into my arm. And as long as like I held him like to my side, tightly with my arm, he would sit there for, I'm not going to say hours, but for like a really long time. He would just sit there and, I'd just give him little scratchies under his chin or his ear or whatever. And he would just sit with me. He would sleep with me every single night. He was my little spoon. So we spooned every night. He slept between me and the edge of the bed. Oh. And then again, when Delilah started to be in the mix and she would start being on the bed, he was a little jealous, but she likes sleeping on my chest. So she comes up, she's like a scarf. He was never really into that. He just kind of liked sleeping next to me. So she'd come up and she'd be, my scarf cat. And he'd be like, he would get jealous of her. Like, well, what are you doing? Like, well, she's doing what you never did. So what's your problem? But yeah, no, he just snuggled with me. He started to, he's just a sweet guy. He started, I guess it's probably like, it was just before the pandemic. So I'm going to say like the end of 19, like somewhere in 19, but mostly in 2020, he started to like do this really weird, like meowing in the middle of the night, all throughout the day, just randomly, seemingly at nothing, seemingly for no reason. And it was just like, it sounded like a baby cry. Like we used to joke like, oh, did you feed the baby? Like, maybe it's time to change the baby's diaper, and so I had brought him into the vet a couple of times for that. The first time I brought him in, it was during the pandemic. And they thought at the time he had some impacted teeth. So, okay, he's in pain. All right, let's remove the teeth. We remove the teeth, still doing it. I bring him back a few months later. Well, he seems to have some inflammation. Let's give him some steroids. Let's see if we can settle down the inflammation. Thinking it's dealing with it's as a result of the teeth issue. Gave him steroids. Didn't really seem to do anything. Okay. Now what? A few months later, I bring him back again. Blood tests. Everything's normal. Everything's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Then, so that's like a couple of years. So now I'm just tolerating this cat just meowing all the time. And I don't know what to do with it because he's clearly in discomfort for some reason. So, last year again, I bring him in for his normal, this is like the middle, I want to say it was June, maybe May or June of last year. I bring him in for his, usual yearly checkup. They test him. He seems to be fine. The doctor said, well, maybe the meowing, perhaps he's got a little tinge of Alzheimer's setting in. I'm like, okay, that's great. That's what I need. That's just what I need is a cat with Alzheimer's.
Is that even, I didn't even know that was a thing in cats.
Apparently it's a thing in cats. So, but in addition to that, he had a very, very slightly elevated thyroid level. So she gave me medication for the thyroid, which was a pill. Hi.
So they gave him a pill.
Yeah. So they gave him this pill I'm supposed to give him. The pill is white. His face and his bib are all white. It's a half of this little teensy tiny pill. I can't get it in his mouth. He won't take it. He doesn't sit still. I don't know if it actually goes in his mouth or if it's fallen into the bib of his hair. I'm struggling with him. Can't do it. They say, okay, well, let's try pill pockets. You can put the little, it's these, I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Sure.
And it's these little, soft kind of treats that you put the pill in and you mush it around the pill. So if they think they're eating the treat, but it's really got the medication in the center. Oh, great. So I do this. I toss him, every once in a while, I'm supposed to, again, give it to him twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. He'll take it. He'll eat the snack for maybe a day or two, and then he will have nothing to do with it for days on end. And then he'll eat it and then he won't. And then, so I struggle with him for a while with this. And then finally I go back to the vet and they said, well, why don't you try the liquid? We'll give you a little syringe and you could just put the syringe in his mouth. You'll do the, 0.5 milliliters twice a day, put the syringe in his mouth. Again, I cannot get him to sit still to give him the syringe. He just won't have anything to do with it. So I don't really know. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? He and Delilah eat the same food. They sit next to each other. Eventually I figure out, I'm like, all right, if I put his medication, if I put the syringe on the food, he'll eat that. But I have to make sure she doesn't get the medication because she can't get this medication or else it'll screw up her thyroid. So I developed like this, it's like a juggle. It was like rounds. I would put the food, I'd give him the food in a bedroom. He'd eat a little bit, couple of bites. Then he'd stop. I'd move the food, literally just move the food to another place. And then he'd eat a few more bites. And then I'd move it someplace else. He'd eat a few more bites. All the while, I'm trying to keep Delilah away from his food so that she doesn't eat his thyroid medicine. In the meantime, I'm like, I'm not sure he's getting all the medication. He starts losing weight, like a lot of weight. So a few months ago, maybe in March, I guess it was March, I brought him back because I'm nervous that he's not getting the right amount of medication he's supposed to get for the thyroid. Turned out his thyroid was fine. Vet said he can, try to give him the medication. If he misses a couple of doses here and there, it's fine, but his thyroid is fine. But his kidney levels were through the roof.
Oh, no.
He was already at stage 3 kidney failure. And that was just from the middle of last year, where he was normal, aside from the thyroid, just a little tweak of the thyroid, from middle of last year to March of this year, stage 3. And that's why he was losing all the weight. So, he was still eating, he was still drinking, still peeing, still pooping. He was starting to be in the habit of just kind of peeing where he wanted. Like he wouldn't really go to the box. So I had an actual, like a space where for some reason he liked this one space in the back of my dining room for whatever reason. So I would put I had a plastic shower curtain.
Yep.
That I just covered the area with. And that's where he just preferred to pee. That's where he preferred to go to the bathroom.
On the shower curtain.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, it was different. Like he just started to really behave different. He was starting to not have strength in his legs anymore. He was very wonky in his walking. He was off kilter. I came home one day and he greeted me at the door. And as I was walking around him to hang my coat up, he tried to look back at me and he just toppled right over. He just literally thunk, just fell right over.
Yeah.
He started to fall off the bed. He wasn't able to make it up to the bed. I had to put a little step stool for him. And then eventually he just started literally peeing in the bed, just right where he laid. He would just start peeing there. So I put plastic down over the bed, and he would just basically pass out in his water dish.
I understand.
I brought him into the vet last Tuesday thinking, okay, well, hoping, kind of knowing what the story was, but hoping that, well, maybe he hurt his mouth and that's why he's not eating right now. Or, maybe something else happened. Maybe we could give him something. And, so the vet gave him a bunch of, vitamin shots, and not a steroid shot, but a lot of different types, like an anti-inflammation shot and some vitamins. She said this should maybe get him through the next 3 or 4 days. But, she kind of said, yeah. She's like, if don't feel bad if you need to make a decision.
Right.
So that was Tuesday. By the time Wednesday morning came, he was just literally laying in his own pee. And
you knew.
I knew. And I went out to the kitchen, and his face, I thought he was gone at that moment. He was like kind of sprawled out a little bit with his face just planted in the water bowl. But he wasn't. He was still there. So I obviously cleaned him up. I put him back in the bed, gave him some water and some food in the bed just in case that, he was able to get up. And made the appointment for that evening. By the time I came home to collect him after work, I honestly didn't think he was going to make it through the day. But he did, barely. And he was just kind of like, again, he wasn't passed out in his water dish, but he was on my back porch, just kind of curled up and just soaking in his own pee. And I felt so bad. And like, I picked him up and I just kind of held him. I wrapped him in a towel, and I just sort of like swaddled him for a while until I got him to the vet. And then,
right.
They were very good. They gave me lots of time to be with him, before they get, because there's, the whole process, and there's a couple different things that they go through. And at each step, they gave me at least 10 or 15 minutes in between each step to have time with him and to say goodbye. And
Michelle, I am so sorry. That anybody who's had to go through that experience knows your pain all too well.
I know.
So my heart goes out to you. I miss him. I've never met him, but I have the pictures you sent me. He was a beautiful cat. He had an amazing life. You are, just hearing this, you're an amazing cat mom. I'm honored to consider you a friend, and you and the co-host for this little ditty that we do. So I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate your being willing to share this, because he deserved a tribute before this episode continues. Because he just deserved this. He deserved the spotlight, because he's just a cool cat. And go back to the interview when we first met, when you told me the story of how he got the name Legs, which I still chuckle at. You're way better at naming cats than I am. I'm like, John, Jim, Bob, Bill, and you're like, Legs, Monday.
All the people at the all like the the techs and the front desk girls at the vet, they're like, that's our favorite cat name ever. So when I was leaving, after on Wednesday I was leaving, I'm sad, and they're all sad for me, and I kind of joked to them, I was like, maybe I'll name the next one Arms.
Yeah, you Legs is a name you can't repeat. Some cat names you can repeat or do a variation on. You can never call another cat. You can't go Legs 2 or Legs the sequel.
No,
you just can't. It's just such a unique name for a unique cat. And honestly, thank you so much for just sharing this story. I think it deserves to be told. Anybody who's gone through that knows exactly. I can relate to so many details that you just shared, because we've all gone through that. We know the pain, but just know you were an amazing cat mom. That his last 8 years were filled with love, just in a great home. And he took in Delilah, he became friends with her, and just everything. He could not have asked for a better life than with you. And I cannot ask for a better co-host than you.
Aww.
So thank you so much for sharing this. And everybody, raise a glass. Stop what you're doing. Raise a glass to Legs, because he deserves a good tribute. So this episode is dedicated to the dearly departed Legs. We love him and we miss him.
Yep.
All my cats are literally looking at me, so I think they know what's up. So thank you, Michelle. And without further ado, on to the episode, which is our interview with BaristaCats Cafe, and Whitefish, Whitewater, Wisconsin, right? One of the hosts of this show is aging rapidly. One is not, and that the one who's doing better is you. Whitewater, Whitefish, Whitewater.
I'm pretty sure it was Whitewater. I'm going to say it wasn't Whitefish. Sounds like more of a Long Island town. Whitefish.
I had a very light dinner before we recorded because if I have a heavy dinner, I tend to get drowsy, and I don't want to come off as, lackluster, because this was important to me to get this right. So I actually had a bagel and lox for dinner. So maybe I have that on the brain.
Maybe.
But anyway, Michelle, I'm hugging you over the phone. Thank you so much. And on to the interview with BaristaCats Cafe. Enjoy.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you?
Guess what? This is episode 50 of, not 15, but 50 of the Shelter Cats podcast.
The big 50.
Big 50. How do you feel about a trip to somewhere in Wisconsin?
Well, I would love to go and take home at least 3 of their kittens because they are just adorable.
Well, you spoiled the surprise, because not only are we going to Wisconsin, we're going to visit the BaristaCats Cafe in Wisconsin, and the owner of the BaristaCats Cafe will be joining us in a moment to discuss all about. I know nothing about Wisconsin. I don't want to drop any cheese jokes. I don't want to drop any cheese. Please don't let me say anything derogatory or cheese related about Wisconsin. I want to find out all about
I could stop you. I could stop you from saying something about cheese.
With your cosmopolitan, commanding voice, I'm sure you can. ye of little faith.
What's to say I won't say something about cheese?
Okay. Well, you can. You're still new. So while we wait for the BaristaCats Cafe to join us, the Shelter Cats podcast is our labor of feline love.
That's right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Dan and Michelle, and you are on the Shelter Cats podcast.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting you guys, or speaking.
Hi, Natalie. Welcome.
Well, not only you are episode 50, so congratulations.
Oh, yay.
You win absolutely nothing, but thank you so much for joining us. So we've interviewed a grand total of 1. I'm fascinated by cat cafes and how Michelle and I, how they work, the logistics of it, why people get into it, because the podcast is all about people that make a difference in the lives of homeless cats and shelter cats.
Yeah.
And there are, rescues, there are fosters, there are colony feeders, there are trappers, there are all sorts of things. But you kind of do that in the guise of a cafe. So just to start, can you introduce yourself and kind of give us the rundown of how you got BaristaCats Cafe started?
Sure. My name is Natalie, and I'm the owner and the founder. I have a business degree and a marketing degree, and I always wanted to open a business, but I was going to actually open a floral shop.
Yeah.
And I went to England for about 35 days, and that's where I discovered cat cafes. I had no clue they existed here. I didn't even know that we had one up in the city from here. So after traveling and going to 7 different cafes in England, I decided I was going to come home and open one. Everybody thought I was crazy. They're like, "You're nuts. You're just, it's such a bonkers idea." I'm like, "Just wait." Um, that was September. I wrote my business plan in October. I launched it in February of 2022. We opened our doors in February of 2023, and we are now getting ready to celebrate our 1 year anniversary.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's been an incredible journey.
So, I know, please forgive me, I know nothing about Wisconsin.
That's okay.
Where exactly are you? Where is it related to something I may know in Wisconsin? I'm very, because we're in New York,
Okay.
and we're involved in cat rescue here, so I don't travel.
Okay.
It makes my dating life terrible,
Oh.
but I don't travel. Where in Wisconsin are you, and where is that related to something?
So Milwaukee and Madison is our capital, and Milwaukee is the next biggest city. I am literally 60 miles in between the two south.
Okay.
So it's a nice little. It's about an hour drive to either city, but I'm in a rural or urban area where our population goes from 4,000 to 40,000 when the kids come back to school.
Oh, okay.
Wow. That's quite a difference.
Yeah, it is. But that's why we heavily rely on our community. And I pull from other places. We're right by Lake Geneva, so it's a travel area. So I kind of switch my target market over when the kids go home and we start venturing out to families and older people versus our students.
Right.
Awesome. So how does your cafe work? In terms of, you can't just walk in and expect a cat to greet you at the door.
Well, actually, yes, you can.
Okay.
We have some amazing house kitties that we adopted as a cafe. And one of which, his name is Birdie. He will greet you first, front and center, and make sure that you know that there are lots of fun cats inside. So our house cats are allowed up front. They would never run out the door because they know they've got a good life with us. But the cats for adoption are behind the extra door.
So do you need to make an appointment, or can you just walk in?
Well, we do allow walk-ins if we have space, but we can't guarantee that. So I always recommend to make a reservation because that holds your spot. We only allow 10 people in at a time for every hour. And that's so you can enjoy your time and our cats are out and about, because too many people is overcrowding and overstimulating for them.
Right, of course. So you actually have feline employees. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's I work from home, so I have a feline staff of 7, but they sleep all day, so they're not.
Well, this one sleeps in the bagger. Like, we have a bagging bin underneath the register. That's the boss. He sleeps on the job all the time. And then I have Cascade. She is my operations manager.
So how does she fulfill her duties as operations manager?
She is right up front, making sure that I'm ringing everybody in. She's in my way, on my face, and making sure that I do my job properly.
Does she do the books too?
Oh, I wish. I wish. She just kind of lays out and tells me to stop.
If you see her with the calculator, you'll know she's learning.
Oh God, that'd be amazing, especially this time of year.
But first of all, I want to move to Wisconsin. But how do the adoptions work? So they're in a separate room, and do you work with local rescues? How does that work exactly?
I do. We are our own nonprofit rescue, and in addition to doing our own TNR and rescue mission, we work with 3 other rescues across southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. We home up to 25 kitties at a time. That's a temporary number. We typically only house about 20, but we're currently working with one of our rescues on a hoarding situation. We've saved 11 of those kitties, and there's 7 left to go.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cats.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just not, she had the best intentions when she started, but it's just like anything, it can become very overwhelming and get very quickly out of control.
It happens, especially in our part of the world on the East Coast.
Yep.
It happens more than you think, and it's always. Literally today, I was speaking to my friends who do rescue near JFK Airport, and they're trying to TNR a colony that is just out of control. Like,
and it's so important right now because the kittens are going to stop dropping.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like we haven't even gotten out of the last kitten season, or we're still trying to get a lot of those cats adopted. It's been an exhausting year, but as a rescue community as a whole, there's a wonderful support system behind it.
That's awesome. So, what has this next month has been it will be a year. What is
celebrate on Sunday?
I really wish I could take a trip there because it sounds awesome.
Well, let me know if you do, Dan, because there's at least 2 cats that I want you to bring home for me.
I know we looked at the website and Michelle said to me, there are so many that I want to take home right now.
I know, and I tell myself every day, stop, you can't love me like this, kitty. And we have conversations. I'm like, sit down. I can't take you home.
I mean, Floofy Iglesias. Let's talk about Fluffy. Was it Fluffy Iglesias? That is an adorable little kitty. I want to smush his face. That's what I want to do. Just smush his face. Just get in there with the fur and just smush his face.
So I'm trying to stick to the script. How many?
Sorry.
No, it's just one. I'm still thinking of your operations manager. By the front. So you have.
She's gone.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Good.
We're going to edit this part out so we can say what we want. Let me see what's going on. The Shelter Cats podcast is brought to you by Bad Signals and Bad Connections. And now Michelle and I will sing. What would you? I'm totally cutting this out so we can do what we want. What would you like to sing? And now,
meow 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 meow. There we go.
Let's try.
Hi. Dude, thanks to the beauty of editing, no one will ever know that happened. Hello, Natalie.
I love that. I'll never forget the first time I ever did a podcast, and I was like, "Wait, can we stop and start up?" Nope, we don't have to. I can edit it out. I'm like, "Really?" Oh my
God. No problem. I'm going to edit out this part where I'm going to tell you that I'm editing it out. So that's going to be wonderful.
Okay.
You missed it. Michelle and I just started singing the meow 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 song
because man.
Meow 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 meow.
Are you going to edit that one out, or are you going to leave that one in?
I might. Our audience is very East Coast based, and they're primarily rescues and people they're driving to the next hoarding situation, or they're driving to the next colony they're feeding or foster situation. So this is their kind of brain cleanse, on their way to their next, because they're in the weeds, they're overwhelmed.
I can see that.
They're all
draw some positive energy from it, so I can get it. It's exhausting.
So there's another podcast more experienced than the Community Cats podcast. We're kind of the comic relief, but with a message version, because so many of these rescues that I've spoken to, we had 3 big rescues from New York City, and the tension and the stress in their voices, talking about the completely out of control homeless population and the kind of inaction from New York City. There was so much tension. So we kind of try to release the tension in any way we can.
Right. And you really have to in rescue, because it is very draining, as you know, and exhausting mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Right.
It really is, and the burnout and the just kind of, I don't know what to do. So, we have a message. It's an open forum for anyone who has done anything to help cats, but we try to sneak a joke in every now and then, just to keep them smiling.
Right.
Maybe that's the Brooklyn in me. So anyway, back to the unedited portion. The so you at this moment you have about 20 cats
We have
in
23.
in the adoption. I'm trying to picture. So in the rear there is an adoption portion.
It's we call it the parlor.
Huh.
And the kitty corridor. So that's the area where all the kitties are kind of free to roam. They do what they need to do. They have their own beds. They have their own bowls. They are just living life.
Sounds better than my apartment.
I know. It's better than my apartment.
And people can make an appointment and come back and kind of see if they bond.
Yeah.
And then fill out the application.
Correct.
And then go through the process.
Yes. So we do not do same-day adoptions.
Good.
It takes about 7 days to get through our application process, but we do screen every single person because our goal is to get them to a forever home, not a home that goes, oh, well, this isn't going to work out. And then they come back to me. We've done 121 adoptions with 0 returns.
Wow, that's great.
And what's the almost your 1 year anniversary? What's the reception been in the community?
Oh my gosh, it's just very overwhelming, and my heart is full. We have gone from bare bones and made a dream out of literally nothing. And if it wasn't for my community and everybody in it, our doors wouldn't remain open through donations and keeping us alive, keeping our mission moving forward.
I think I love the idea of Cat Cafe. And I did look at your website, but I'm going to ask anyway, what do you serve, if anything?
So we have a partnership with a coffee company here, and they make us a specialty BaristaCats brew. We have hot chocolate that I have imported from England. We serve Harney and Sons English tea. I've got 23 different varieties of teas as well. All of our snacks are prepackaged and grab and go. You're welcome to bring them in, but you might get a cat hair in them, so you can't sue me for that either.
You have that as a disclaimer on the wall, I'm sure.
It's actually in the waiver, and I go over it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. All kidding aside, you probably have to, because you never know.
You do. My insurance actually required me to have it in there.
It didn't occur to me. So there's prepackaged stuff. There's a lot of. I'm becoming a big tea fan the older I get. So you can, and there are places to kind of just sit, and the operations manager may come and check on you.
He definitely will come and check on you.
Are you happy with our service? Is there anything you need? That kind
and
of
I
thing.
have some whipped topping, please.
It just sounds what a wonderful thing to do, but what a dream job.
It's a wonderful, wonderful job, and I work 7 days a week. I can get exhausted when I start delving into rescue projects and the business side of it, because it takes so much time. So a lot of times I work the cafe all day and I come home and I sit on my laptop till my eyeballs burn.
Oh,
but that's small business,
Of course. Are you the only human staff? I'm assuming not.
My 3 children volunteer for me and help. And then I also have 6 volunteers that come in throughout the week and on Saturdays to help me do cleaning, cat boxes, if I get behind on things or certain projects that I assign to them.
Did you say cat waxes?
No, cat boxes.
Oh, cat boxes.
I was like, gosh, I don't know if a cat would really respond to a cat wax.
I was very confused for a minute there. I was like, a cat wax.
That's my Wisconsin accent coming out.
Tell
me more. What is this cat wax that she's talking
about? Michelle opened up a whole can of worms.
Right.
That's the BaristaCats Spa that's opening next year.
Yeah.
Operations managers is sitting. Make my claws red this week, please.
They actually wear really fancy bow ties.
Oh my goodness!
I love it. So this is the question I'm always fascinated by, and when I interview anybody, what is the homeless cat situation in Wisconsin, like specifically where you are? Have you noticed a change since you've been involved in rescue? Any observations?
It's hard because this last year was really a difficult year. We had a kitten season in spring, and then we had another one in fall. So with that being said, I've only been in the rescue side of it for about 2 years now. Um, we have a tremendous problem in Whitewater because we're a college town. And the Humane Society, 20 minutes down the road, does same day adoptions, and you're in and out in 20 minutes.
Oh boy.
A lot of times when that happens in a college area, they get dumped at the end of the semester. So we do have a horrific problem in Whitewater. I just currently or recently partnered up with Whitewater's animal control. So we are going to be helping them get some of these cats off the streets and rehomed.
And just so people understand, by college town, that these are people in kids in dorms,
Correct.
adopt for the semester, and then when they go home, cat doesn't always go home with them.
Correct. And I'm kind of there to help alleviate it on both sides. So instead of one of the students feeling like they absolutely have to have one, they can come visit ours. I have special student rates and things like that to really encourage them to come. And it helps our kitties socialize, and it helps with their behaviors and get ready for adoption.
Right. And I'm sure they get volunteer hours somehow
Yeah,
too.
that goes towards their college credits.
Is that's something I haven't really touched on? Is that a college town? Is that a big college town kind of problem? And other places like where you are?
I would imagine so, because these kids can get ESA letters like no tomorrow. You pay somebody $100, you've got one emailed to you, right? And that's all the college requires for a dorm to have a support animal is that ESA letter.
I see.
I will adopt to a college kid, not in the dorm. They have to have an apartment, but I also need to talk to parents. So once they go home for the semester, that it's okay that that cat comes home with them.
Right.
I've denied applications because they're like, no way, no way. We've got 4 at home already. Okay.
Yeah. So then, all the more reason why your cafe serves a valuable purpose.
Yeah.
Because it could help alleviate something like that, where these cats end up getting returned.
Correct.
See, we're not really a college town. We have an epidemic, but for different reasons. It's more of a cultural, neighborhood cultural thing, where neighborhood to neighborhood in Brooklyn alone, there are different kind of outlooks on TNR, on what to do with homeless cats. There's backdoor breeding. There's all sorts of things. So we don't have the college town aspect, but similar, but just a different outlook.
Yeah. I think if we were in a bigger city, we could have probably shared some of those. I know Milwaukee has a problem, but there's probably 50 rescues out there that are helping to alleviate that as well.
Well, I'm so grateful that you took that trip to England and got inspired and started this cafe. I just love the idea. I feel like every rescue should have a cafe if it's possible.
Absolutely.
Is there any kind of, like, your biggest challenge, the biggest reward? What is there, like a rescue that stands out over the past 11 and a half months you've been in operation? Is there one day? Was there a day where you felt, what have I done? And is there a day where this amazing cat got a home and you just stepped back before your eyeballs went red on your laptop and you said, I knew I was doing the right thing? Was there any kind of aha moment?
As far as the adoptions, no. So when I first started this, I probably said I wanted to effing quit 100 million times a day. Like, it was just like, no. Financially, it's probably my biggest obstacle I've had to deal with over the last 12 months. I'm a single mom. I have 3 teenage, 1 adult, or 2 teenager, 1 adult child. So I did this, and I put more money into this business than I've made in the last decade. So it was
Wow.
like the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I did home hospice and I quit my job and I opened my own business, not knowing what I had. I had a paper dream. That was it. And from that, I've evolved to this amazing experience. And that's what cat cafes are. And that's what sets us apart from being that minority and a majority is what we do is our all-inclusive experience. And then I cry every time I drop a cat off for an adoption. Like it just, they become part of me. And I've watched them transition from being terrified and hiding to being very outgoing and finding they're human.
And this was all you. You did all this.
Me and my
Even
tears.
it's just that's a lot to be. All I'm doing is a podcast. You're doing so much. That's just to be admired. I can't even imagine the daily challenges. So really, my hat's off to you, Michelle. I don't know if you're wearing a hat, but her hat's off to you too.
Well, I did just take my headband off.
There you go. Well enough.
And to can you offer any to someone who's thinking of doing this? Is there any advice you'd like to offer?
Reach out and talk to as many cat cafe owners you can. Join the groups on Facebook. That they were my lifeline through this. And be prepared to be broke. This is not a lucrative business. I have yet to pay myself in 2 years of trying to get this up and running. I worked 2 other jobs and I bartended for a while. And then it just became too much. A lot of people come into this aspect and running a cat cafe, having experience of rescue and expect to make big bucks, but you don't, because you're just reinvesting it back into your space, into the cats. Cats are expensive. Vet care is expensive. So just be prepared to not have money.
So the rewards are emotional, not financial.
Correct. Correct.
That's the
changed in the forever homes that we have found.
And there will always be cats that need homes, and
yeah,
other cats that will need jobs at your cafe. Truly, thank you so much for doing this, for building this thing up. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for hiring cats.
They have to work off the cookies somehow.
They have to earn their keep.
Correct.
I mean,
there's no
come on, you got to put them to
here.
work. I've been trying to get my 2 to start earning their keep, and they're just lazy. They don't want to do a thing, really. These 2, so it's.
I have 7 in my home, and I work all day, and they sleep all day. At 5 o'clock, they all sit in my office and look at me. Dinner time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I know that feeling. They get their breakfast, and then I get home from work, and they're like, "Mom, can I sit at the table?" Oh, come on, sit down.
And then when you want to take a second to have your own food, they want to eat your food. So
now, Natalie, how many do you have at home? How many are your own?
I have 6 at home. My
my goodness,
is 18, and my youngest is a year.
Wow.
18. Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh, he is. He's my boy. He was my very first rescue.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so sweet.
I have one that just turned 14 today. He was I got him off death row almost a year ago in Manhattan. He had 2 hours to go, and now he's 14, and he's basically a kitten.
I love it. We had a 13-year-old blind kitty that I saved from death row at the cafe, and she was in pretty dire shape when she came to us, and now she's thriving. She walks the whole cafe by herself and comes out screaming when she wants attention.
They make I'm always trying to advocate seniors because they make amazing cats.
That's where we primarily focus our adoptions. I love kittens because they're cute, but they take away from the seniors and the adults. So out of the 121 adoptions we've done, I would say over 100 have been adults and seniors.
Yeah,
I love it. They need it. The kittens will get homes, but
Yeah.
The adults get overlooked so often, and especially the seniors.
Absolutely.
Well,
so Natalie, I did see on your website that you do parties and things at your location.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, what's that about? Talk about your parties a
So
little
you've
bit.
got two different options. We require anybody with party of 7 or more to book the hour automatically. That way everybody's comfortable. And two people don't come in and are like, what the heck? This whole family took over, you know? But we make it a very reasonable cost if that happens. And I take into consideration you don't have all 10 people. You can also book an hour for a birthday party and do add-ons for cat cookies. I have a baker in town that makes our cookies, cat decorations, and a playlist. Because we're closed for the hour, you can choose whatever you'd like because it's not public play. And then we also offer an add-on to your regular hour. If you don't, say if it's just you and your girlfriend, you want to surprise her, if you let us know, she gets a paw balloon, a happy birthday card, which obviously are cats, and then we also provide a little tin of silver vine, so all the cats love her.
Oh, that's so cute. And do you get a lot of parties? Are people?
Yeah. They're fun. And a lot of times it's just a family that would really like the place to themselves. So that's why I do make it a reasonable cost for everybody to come in.
Right. That's great. That's really great.
What a wonderful idea. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Michelle, have I missed anything?
Oh, I don't know. I think you covered a lot.
I have. Natalie, we could talk to you for days, but
I know. I'm a Gabby one too. Because I only talk to cats and they usually just meow back. I don't get the actual.
I get it. I'm a bachelor. I understand. They look at me like, you could say what you want. We don't know what the hell you're saying.
Well, they understand me. That's the scary part.
But it sounds good. Well, I'm very glad I found you on TikTok. I'm very glad we got a chance to talk to you. How do people find? You're a nonprofit, so can people donate to you?
Yes, absolutely.
So how do they find you?
They could find a donation link on our Facebook page, which is BaristaCats Cafe and Sanctuary for Wayward Cats. We have a PayPal under the same and a GoFundMe.
Awesome. Well, so if you're not in Whitewater, Wisconsin, please, I almost said Whitefish. I don't know why. Please,
because you're from Brooklyn, Dan. Because you're from Brooklyn.
Because I'm from Brooklyn. Sorry. So if you're not in Whitewater or Whitefish, Wisconsin, please reach out to them. Please donate, because it's just such a wonderful, wonderful idea to just go and have a good time, bond with the cats. Even if you don't go home with one, you're still helping because you're socializing with the cats. And they get used to people. I do that whenever I can because it's such a great thing. So Natalie, thank you so much for being our 50th episode. Yay.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And we'll definitely have you on again. Michelle will have to drive, but we will make a trip out there one day.
I would be delighted to have you, my guest of honor.
Because we have to see this place. I have to meet your cat staff.
It's a really interesting aesthetic. So I've had a lot of people that travel the country for cat cafes and they come into mine and they're like, wow, like this is just stunning. And we never expected it. Like there's a hideaway room and yeah, it's an all-encompassing experience for sure.
Wait, people do it's like a beer crawls. They do cat cafe crawls.
Yes, and we just signed up for a cat cafe passport. So once you acquire these passports, there's like certain specials and discounts that you can go into all of the cat cafes with.
Today I learned
I know. I'm glad you asked the question because I was thinking about it. I felt stupid. I'm like, how do I not know that this is a thing?
Yeah,
but
this is
if you think about it. But when you are putting, even if it was dogs, all the dog lovers would get excited about it. I think it's a fun experience all around, and every cat cafe is unique to itself. Even people that own multiple cafes, they're still totally unique, and that's the best part.
it's just a culture that I'm becoming very fat, a culture, or just the whole cat cafe world it just seems to be really up and coming. It's something I'm fascinated in. If I had twice the energy and more of time, Michelle and I would open the Shelter Cats Cafe somehow.
That's why I only work days. I'm in bed. I like time with my old age.
we have day jobs, damn it.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'd be pursuing these things too. Natalie, thank you so much. It's just a great thing you're doing. It's a great thing you're doing for Shelter Cats. It's an awesome angle. I'm so glad you did this. And long live Barista Cats. And we'll have you on again in a year to see how you're doing after another year.
That'll be wonderful.
Maybe for episode 100. And all the best. And please find them on Facebook. Their TikTok is amazing. That's how I found them. And if you can't go to Whitewater, Whitewater, Wisconsin. See, I told you we're a lighthearted show.
Can you please Wisconsin, like the actual Wisconsin accent though, like Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Am I close? Wisconsin.
No, you are totally.
No. Wisconsin. No,
that's
sorry.
like Illinois would say it. Wisconsin.
I'm from Brooklyn. Michelle is from upstate, so she sounds a lot. I prefer to her voice.
Nasally, like A's and O's with the Wisconsin accent.
With nasal, I could do. I have allergies. Wisconsin.
I'm allergic to cats. Can you believe that?
Do you know we've had so many people that have come on and said they're allergic to cats? It seems to it's like you would think it was oil and water, but it seems to work for everybody.
We just like to be miserable. That's all.
Wait a minute. So you're in cat rescue. You have 6 at home. You went to England to look at cat cafes. You came back. You opened one of your own, which is not all shits and giggles. I can curse. It's our show. Okay. And you have 23 at the moment. You have a feline staff, and you're allergic.
Yes.
God bless you. That's amazing.
That's dedication there.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck it. I'm doing it anyway.
I don't care. I do what I want.
Who needs to breathe?
Sometimes it's better off if you don't breathe when they take a nice big poop. So
that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Yes. Every time I have a meeting, my largest male cat, Tucker, who's 18 pounds, decides, I'm going to go in the box in your office, if that's okay.
Yep. He stares right at you, I bet, while he does it.
and fun fact, that's when my sinuses clear up briefly. But that being said, Natalie, on that note, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely have you on soon.
Guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Natalie. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.